Hello, geometry students, and welcome to the last lesson of the year. This is it, lesson 11.1.4, where we're going to add in the idea of surface area and volume of a sphere as we work our way through it. This is it. This is the last lesson before you review and take your Chapter 11 test, and you've made it through online learning for 2020. So if we take a look, let's go into the warm-up review dealing with cones. Notice in number 1, all you have to do is find the surface area. And in number 2, you are finding the volume. Okay, so one of each. Notice in number 1, 6 is the diameter of your circular base. Be careful with that. You're going to need the radius rather than the diameter, so don't just use the 6. Okay, and then on the next screen, gives you the areas that are coming with that. Surface area, there's the work, as well as the volume that you're dealing with. Okay? So there is that portion. You can take a look at that and make sure you're doing that correctly. That's a review of the last lesson. Math notes as we go through. Here's the idea for a sphere. For volume of a sphere, we could go through, and I could try it if we were in class, we would go through and we would discover where these formulas are coming from, and we would talk about that. Because we're not, I'm going to just get straight to the point. And if you notice, what we are doing to find the volume of a sphere, you have 4/3 times pi times the radius cubed now, okay? Times the radius cubed. So be careful that you're not just squaring. It's the first time we're cubing that. To find the surface area of a sphere, it is 4 times pi times the radius squared. So for this last lesson, you're going to pretty much just, I'm going to give you some formulas and let you work with them, okay? Really, the one thing you need in order to do this is the radius. That's all you need to do, okay? So if we take a look on the next page, what they are taking a look at, here's a sphere that has a radius of 6 feet. And if we take a look, that's all we need. So surface area is 4 times pi times the radius squared. There it is right there. 4 pi times 6 squared ends up with a total surface area of 452.39 square feet. Volume, here's your formula right here, 4/3 pi r cubed. Plug in your 6 for your radius. When you cube this on your calculator, if you have your own calculator, you're going to be wanting to raise it to a power, okay, to the 3rd power. So it's not a button. You're going to look for it's called the caret button on the calculator. It looks like an arrow that's pointing up. That's your power button. And then you would type in 3 to raise it to the 3rd power. Okay, so just be careful with that. Ultimately, you can see here that the volume ends up being 904.78. Okay? So pretty much for spheres, you're just using 2 formulas, plugging in the radius, and you've got your answer. So it should be, hopefully, a last lesson here should be a straightforward one, and hopefully very easy for you. Again, here's your volume and surface area toolkit that now summarizes all of the solids we've talked about. Prisms to begin with, volume and surface area. Cylinders are highlighted, how to do that. Pyramids are there that we talked about in this chapter. We just talked about cones in the last lesson, and now here we have added spheres to that. Okay, and so that is where this is coming from. Again, you're going to be able to use this on your test that you're going to take. I will also send out a review as well, and I will send this with the review so you can kind of practice volume and surface area of a little bit of everything before you actually get to the test. Here's a video explaining volume and surface area of spheres. This will guide you a little bit more of where the volume and surface area comes from. You can take a look at that. Otherwise, here's your practice problems at the end. First 3, all you're doing is finding the volume. Given the radius, given the diameter, and when it says the circumference of the great circle, I'm going to go back just for a second. The great circle is the circle at the center here. So when you go through and when you're given the circumference, you're going to use that to actually find the radius of your sphere. That's where that's coming into play. So if I go back to that. So circumference of the great circle is actually going to lead you to find the radius of the sphere. Same idea down here when you get to the 4, 5, and 6. Only difference is now you're finding surface area instead of volume. Again, you're going to need the radius in all 3 parts. Okay? Here are your answers to find the volume and surface area of the last set of homework problems. And again, make sure you're checking those, make sure you're doing those correctly. Let me know if you have questions, and I'll be sending out the review with the practice problems and a test. Once you've completed the Chapter 11 test, you have completed what you need to do for the year, and you've made it through. So good luck. Let me know if you need anything, and we'll talk to you later. Have a good day, everybody.